Welcome to SuperCoach. How are you guys? Hope you're well out there. As the title suggests, going to give you some fellas who are rolling to the half back line. Some for the first time, some revisiting a spot that they've made an absolute name for themselves for in. And we are rolling with the glasses because it is about 9:30 and the eyes are a bit tired. I'll tell you what, it's just too bloody hot today, mate. I mean, this one won't be posted for a few days, but earlier in the week, Victorian time. It's just too hot, mate. And I'll tell you what, I'm gassed. I'm back at work. My brain's working overtime. I haven't adjusted. And I was umming and ahhing whether I do a video. And I thought, oh, do I just relax on the couch and do fuck all? And I thought, nah, get up, go and do a video, mate. You enjoy talking about it. So yeah, we'll talk about, I think there's five guys. Mind you, none of them I'm really, really considering. I'm not actually considering too many of them, but I think it's interesting to get your thoughts as well um, on this discussion point. Um, yeah, you're getting hit with the glasses too as well. Shorty with the glasses. I think that's where I was leading before with the 9 o'clock, 9:30. I don't even know where I'm at. I can't remember even if I said that or not. But some have speculated that when I wear the glasses, I'll win the 50K. So maybe that could be the difference this year. Um, on a definitely more somber note, Troy Selwood was just, geez, that was such horrible news. And, obviously it's probably a couple of days ago now as to when I was posting it. But just, yeah, um, just wanted to, yeah, sort of take that opportunity to, make sure that we're checking in on our mates. Obviously the news, at least of time of filming and recording this, hasn't been released. But when you see the lifeline and the helplines down the bottom of the article, you sort of know that it's suicide. And yeah, it just, yeah, it breaks my heart really. Like it really did have me thinking a lot more than I maybe thought it first would this afternoon. I was just like, geez, we just can't keep losing blokes to suicide. It's there's some crazy stats. Like I think it might be the biggest killer in men under 55, or certainly in the middle ages of life. So yeah, obviously a bit of a somber note, but if you got any mates out there that you're worried about, flick them a text, ask them how they're going. If they're acting a bit different, just please check in on them because it's bloody important. Um, so yeah, that's just want to chuck that out there. I've spoken about mental health a couple of times on the channel, but yeah, just was on my mind and just wanted to mention it to you guys out there. So let's dive into the video first. And I do want to start with probably the guy that is maybe interesting me. Like he's in 0% of sides, but Dylan Shiel has moved back to the halfback flank. He's training there. All the reports are that he's doing that. Wonder if we can get a little article to back it up. Will we get through the paywall here? I can't remember if I paid it or not. Dylan Shiel has started his new roll-off halfback. When was this posted? About a week or so ago. Played as the highest defender using his left foot kick and his rebounding role. Clearly, the halfback flank is always going to be a position that we really enjoy. It's great for scoring points. There's no doubt about that. And I think Shiel probably fits the bill as a guy that I think will go really, really well. The issue is the body for me. I could see him averaging high 90s in this role, but gee whiz, I do not know. And I do not think we can trust this body. I mean, look at this 9 games, 12 games, 19, 7, then 15. And he's nearly 32. The body's not getting any better. These concerns that he has had have reoccurred and just really derailed his season time after time. It's interesting. I thought this guy around that 2014, 2015 mark, I thought he was destined for sort of 110, but it never quite eventuated. It's interesting to see that he just seemed like such a class act that he would become a midfield bull and just that outside class and just dominate. He had some great games, but um, never quite from a Supercoach perspective went nuts. So if you're asking me, gee, what's he going to average on a halfback flank? Probably like 96, 97, but you might only get 13, 14 games of it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's a high risk. I think the fact he's in 0% of sides, fair enough, probably shows how risky it is. I feel like if he was about 350k, we're probably being seriously tempted. But I just think it's not like he's cheap as chips. Big risk. New role looks positive, but still an unknown. The Dons do have a lot of other good rebounders as well. How does it all look? Happy to pass on him, but there's a bit of interest there. Maybe one for draft that you just pick up late, but I'm sure if he does stick to that role, he will score some points. Just a matter of his body can stay fit. The next one is Josh Daicos, who we've got a little bit more of a read on what he can actually do back here. As we know, been a wingman for his whole career pretty much, and has averaged some good numbers. Like he averaged about 100 in 2023 as a wingman, dropped back to 89 last year. But we did see him go back to the halfback flank for I think about the last 6 rounds. I mean, sometimes it's hard to know exactly when these positional changes occur, but I feel like a good indicator is round 19 was the only time he had a kick out, and then the next 6 weeks he did. So I feel like we can go from round 19, and as we can see, an 83, a 127, 54, not so good, 106, 93, and 140, ending the year with 40 touches, a 140, 4 rebound 50s. Um, the type of guy that I feel like will suit that role. Nice distributor, finds space nice, bit of run and dash. I just feel like Houston's going to take the majority. Like he'll be the main guy. He'll be the main halfback flanker. Josh is in 1% of sides, and like Shiel, it's all about that price. I mean, he's even more expensive than Shiel. I suppose the thought you're looking at and the way you could tackle this is who is this year's Nick Martin? Who is this year's Nick Martin? For the record, I think if you add those up, it's about 100, about an average of 100 from 6 games, small sample size. But what you're hoping for, you're not judging this on a guy that, oh, I wonder if he could be a keeper as a midfielder. You're judging him in the Nick Martin role of I picked him last year, average of 88, going a half back, pick him 105, gets that dual position status as a defender and becomes a highly ranked defender. I know Martin got switched around a little bit himself throughout the year to a half forward flank and whatnot, but that's sort of the mode you're looking at. But again, for Daicos, just too expensive for me to take that risk unless he comes out and takes equal kickouts with Houston and just runs an absolute muck off half back. Then maybe you've got me listening, like in a practice game or something. But for now, just too risky for mine. Again, I don't like taking a risk at 480k. So I'm happy to pass on him, but it wouldn't shock me if he averaged in the 90s and had a really good year. Next up is a man that perhaps has the most relevancy and one I've slightly considered, and that's Rory Laird. I know what you're saying. Surely you didn't want to take a risk at 480. What are you taking a risk at 560? Well, for me, he's the one with the most runs on the board because he is the guy that he made his name as a halfback flanker. This is more of a return to his original form that made him an All Australian and eventually had some ridiculous numbers, averaging nearly 130 in the midfield. But the Laird that we knew from certainly 2016 to 2019, maybe in 2020, was that rebounding defender, just as reliable as they come to average 100. He's probably not going to go bonkers and average 110, but he's bloody reliable. So I guess for me, it's it's really just that average. That average of 104 is not that bad. So you're actually not really getting much value here. Some of those other guys, you got the value, but I feel like you're probably picking Laird. Well, put it this way. I think Laird will be a top 8 defender. Put it that way. I mean, if we go to the defenders, I think he will out average. I think he'll out average Zorko, McGovern, maybe even Martin. Clark's touch and go. Look, I'd be confident in saying, there's a few that I think step up, like Holmes and that type of thing, but you're probably going to get that 104, maybe the 100. So he did go back. I wonder if this, and I think I can use some heat maps with this too, but Rory Laird. So he did have a couple of kick-ins late in the year, and probably what shows us the real positional change was the lack of centre bounce attendance in the last 4 weeks. So basically none. And probably the concerning part with that is he didn't exactly go back and just rack it up. And we're not going to crucify him over the last 4 weeks, but we only saw 109, 100, 83, 96. Good numbers, but a little bit handball happy late in the year. And he's more of an uncontested player, clearly, when he moves to half back. He's very much contested in the midfield. But so I suppose for Laird, I think you're getting a top 8 defender, but he's not a defender yet. So what do we do? Look, I think for him, he's probably the one I feel will average the most. I think he'll average in the hundreds again. But there's no real need to take the risk. I mean, I don't think you're going to get him at a cheaper price. We're not gonna miss the boat on him. Like, I think he'll be in and around that price. We should probably just wait to see if he does get defender status and how he goes in this role as a prolonged period of time. And if it's working, jump on. There's probably no need to jump the gun. So I think what you're probably looking for here is a guy that's averaged, probably in the 80s, probably mid to low, and can jump right up. I mean, Daicos is probably the one that is closest to that mark. I just don't have as much confidence in Daicos as I did Nick Martin last year. Felt like Nick Martin was just a designated kick-out guy, and he did prove to be, where Daicos is competing with Houston. So, for different reasons, those three haven't quite lit my fire. But one that's a bit interesting, and this one may provoke interest from people because of his price, is Ollie Hollands. Now, obviously Nick Newman goes down. I wonder if we're going to get much talk here. Oh, yeah, there we go. New halfback role, positional swap, Nick Newman. Yep. Covers the ground nicely, Hollands. I think he does cover the ground quite nicely. But I just don't know if he's that guy. So he's at a good price, $3.33. It's risky. Well, it's where we can take risks. A lot of movement to come from that if he does start to average well. Now, there's no real need to have a look at his stats, but I'm going to do it anyway. He's still young. He's 21. And we've really just seen him on a wing more so. But he does look like he finds space quite nicely. A creative type of player. I could see him having a good year. And he might be a sneaky draft option. But for me, I just don't see any need to take the risk. And I know I'm making a video on 4 blokes that I'm not picking. But it's interesting discussion because some might see it different. I just feel like if Hollands was just sitting there and there weren't many other options around that price, yeah, we might consider him. He's probably the 4th or 5th in line around his price range. So look, maybe if he sticks to his guns and he might average in the high 80s, but I still see maybe it's Doherty or maybe it's Sard more so. I don't know if it's Hollands who just all of a sudden averages 90 and takes all of Newman's points. I personally don't think so, but like around his price, we've got plenty. Like, we'll see a couple unveil themselves in a sec. You've got Peatling, Locke, Parker, with Wardlaw going down, he all of a sudden becomes very, very interesting. Sanders is lighting it up. Wow, he's in 14% of sides. Jesus, when I did the video the other day, he was in 6. So yeah, and there's Hollands. You just feel like there's no need to take a risky option. He's probably fourth in line in terms of those types. So happy to pass on him. Next up is Liam Baker, and this will be the last guy we look at. And the interesting thing for him is he is a forward. And a lot of these other guys we've looked at, they're mids. You're going to need a positional addition with the DPP. But Baker, dual position already. I think our forward lines are very, very set. But Liam Baker has been training in the back six. How does it look? McGovern provides a bit of that rebound. Oh yeah, that's right. He copped a little ankle sprain, didn't he? Copped a little ankle sprain. So I suppose my thoughts with Baker are, I think that he could average some really nice numbers. Really nice numbers. It wouldn't shock me if he averages mid 90s. If he gets a nice little rebounding role, linking up at half back, because he's a guy that's been a real utility, jack of all trades, but never really quite settled in a position consistently. He could be that sound head back there. We've seen Hearn go and retire, and Barras leaves. Not that he was a big possession winner, but I think there's a lot of footy to be won down back for the Eagles. Ryan Marich also sneaky little pod rookie, bit more expensive, but taking some kickouts was Marich as a rejuvenated defender. We'll talk about him another time, but I think for me, the reason Baker doesn't get in or even get considered for mine is our forward lines are so settled. Again, a bit like Hollands, there are better mid-price options than Baker, and they're cheaper than him. Smith, McRae, we had Philippo, but we lost him. Parker probably comes into it. Who else have I got in there? Caleb Daniel, of course. Ooh, we do have Ryan Marich in there, very cheeky. So yeah, for very different reasons on all five of these guys, I in summary, aside from Hollands, I don't see him averaging in the 90s. The rest of them, I all see him averaging mid 90s, maybe a smidge beyond. But Shiel, you can't trust the body. Daicos is just a bit pricey. Houston should take most of it. Could get pushed back to a wing. Who knows? We talked about Hollands probably not hitting the 90. Who else did we speak about? Baker, just better options in and around that mark. And Laird is the most expensive of the lot. No need to rush it. Wait and see if he does become a defender. So, yeah, would love to hear your thoughts. It's an interesting topic when we see guys get taken back to half back. It has been a pretty fruitful hunting ground for our SuperCoach players over the journey, but I'm taking 0 from 5 here, but would love to hear your thoughts on it. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.